Hi guys, I am Anusha from Anime Anatomia Club. So in previous video, my friend has explained about the introduction to a skeleton system, and that video has been tagged in the description box, so you can go and watch it. So in this video, I'm going to continue about the axial skeleton, and I'm going to explain about the vertebral column, ribs and sternum in this video briefly. So first let me give you a short introduction to axial skeleton. So it acts like a vertical axis of the body, and it has total of 80 bones. So which includes the head, neck, chest and abdomen. Coming to head, it has 22 bones. Extra 7 bones in the head bone, and also 3 pairs of bone, which are 6 bones in the ear, in the middle ear, and those are very small bones. And coming to next is thoracic cage, which has 12 pairs of ribs and sternum. So at first I'm going to say about the vertebral column, its introduction, like why it is necessary and all. So it has mainly important functions like which will help in the movement of our head and neck, which will act as a weight bearing of our body. So now we will see the anatomical structure of these all the vertebrae. So I'm going to explain about first the general or the typical structure of the vertebra. So here I have taken the thoracic vertebra to explain all its parts and its process. So first I am going to say about the vertebral body. You can see the circle one, right? This is the vertebral body. It is present anteriorly to the body, and the backside one is the vertebral arc. It is present posteriorly, and you can see it's a vertebral body. It is too thick. If it's too thick, then it's going to bear the too much weight, and if it's too thin, then it's going to bear little weight compared to others. And again, from the body you can see the lateral process, the sides. It is the pedicle. We have right and left pedicles, and also we have two lamina, right and left one. And also the between the vertebral body and arc, we have the vertebral foramen. And also you can see this process, this is called the spinous process. And between the pedicle and lamina, we have the transverse process. And you can see these two bumps, these are the superior articular process. We have two which are facing upwards, and also if we turn this backwards, we can see two inferior articular process. So we have total 7 process, inferior to, superior to, spinous process and a transverse process. And also you can see the if you see the vertebral column, it is not a straight line, it's like we have a curvatures. So we have a primary and secondary. In primary we have thoracic and the sacrococcygeal, which are processed during the original fetal growth. And also the secondary one is the cervical and lumbar, which are processed when the birth of the baby, after the birth of the baby. So coming to a cervical, it will there will be a curvature in the cervical when the baby will start to lift his head and start to sit. And coming to the next, that is the lumbar. Lumbar will start its curvature when the baby will start to walk. And also there are many disorders regarding this curvature. So first I am going to say about the cervical. If there is the too much curvature in the cervical, it will lead to a kyphosis. And if there is too much curvature in the lumbar region, then it's going to lead to a lordosis. And if there is too lateral curvature, then it's going to lead to scoliosis. So okay, next I'm going to say about the cervical vertebra. So we have 7 cervical vertebra. The first 2 are very special, and these are atlas and axis. So you can see this is the atlas, and the name is given Atlas because in Greek mythology, Atlas is a god like who is to carry the clouds on his shoulder. So the name is given according to this Greek mythology. So you can see the atlas bone, and it is very different from other cervical vertebra. So you can see it does not have spinous process, but it has the transverse process. Comparing to other cervical vertebra, the transverse process of this atlas is very large. And also you can see the whole ear. So this is the transverse foramen, and you can see the body. So this is the anterior arc, it's like a ring like shape, and the backside one is the posterior arc. You can see the superior articular facets, these are deeply curved. So these will attach to the occipital condyles of the occipital bone, which is present in the skull. So let me demonstrate how it will attach to the skull. So this is the skull, and This is the anterior portion and this is the posterior. I have to see that first. And you can see the occipital condyles here, and it's going to attach like this. And also the back side, we have the inferior articular facets, but these are not curved like the ones I have seen here. These are the flat ones, and these will attach to the axis, which is the second cervical vertebra. And also when we take the axis, we can differentiate the atlas and axis very easily by one thing, which is the odontoid process, which is, you can see, it's like a hill, and this will attach to the atlas like this with the help of the transverse ligaments. And also you can see it's this has the spinous process, but the C1 does not have a spinous process. And also you can differentiate axis with other cervical. You can see the spinous process, it has very Y-shaped process spinous. And also you can see a transverse process is very small compared to the atlas. And also it has the transverse foramen. So this is all about the axis. And also you can see the facets, superior articular facets and the inferior articular facets. And next I'm going to say about the cervical of the from C3 to C7. So again it's the same which I explained in the typical characteristics of the vertebrae. This is the spinous process. You can see it's in the Y shape, but in the transverse process it's a U shaped. So this is the main thing we have to see. And also we have the vertebral foramen, and this is the transverse foramen, this is the body, this is the vertebral arc, this is pedicle, this is laminae. And the next I'm going to say about thoracic vertebra. So we have 12 thoracic vertebra, and thoracic vertebra, we can easily differentiate thoracic from cervical. How? Mainly of facets. So we have a facet so that the rib will come and like it will pass through it, and it will also attach here. So also when you compare the cervical and thoracic, you can see its body. The thoracic body is, it is very thick, and the cervical is very thin. So as I said before, if the body is too thin, then it's going to bear very too much weight, and if the body is very thick, then it's going to bear too much weight. So we can easily say, comparing to cervical, the thoracic will bear too much weight. And also here we have a vertebral foramen, body, vertebral arc, but you can see the spinous process. It's like it is projected downward angle. It is the main thing you have to say. And also we have the transverse process, which are facing forward, and also the superior articular process, which are facing upward. And if I turn like this, you can see the inferior articular process. And also let me say the important thing about the facets. Like we have 12 thoracic vertebrae, and all the 12 doesn't have the same facets. There are some exceptions, like in first thoracic, 10th thoracic, 11th and 12th. Coming to a first thoracic vertebra, it has a facet only upwards, its full facets. But coming to a downward, it has a semi-facet. And also at 10th thoracic vertebra, it has only one facet at upward, but it doesn't have facets at down. And also coming to the 11th and 12th thoracic vertebra, it has a semi-facets only at upwards. And coming to a 12th thoracic vertebra, it has only one complete facet at the backwards. And next is the lumbar. So in the lumbar vertebra, you can compare all this, like the cervical, the thoracic and the lumbar. You can see which has the very too thick body. Obviously the lumbar. So when we compare the all the vertebra in our body, the lumbar bears too much weight. So as we age, the lumbar body will get thin. So the elderly, so the old aged people, like they can't bear too much weight because of this reason. So when we compare, you can see the spinous process of the lumbar. It's not bending downwards as we compare to a thoracic. And also main thing, you can see the superior articular process. It is facing upwards, but it is facing like anteriorly. It is facing superiorly. It is facing anteriorly. And also when we turn like this, you can see the inferior articular process. They are facing outwards. And this is the transverse process. So now I'm going to say about the sacrum and coccyx bone. First I will show its anatomical position. So this is the anatomical position. This is the anterior portion and this is posterior. And you can see in superior position, you can see the sacral premonitory. And let me show, first let me explain about the anterior parts. So this is the body of first sacral vertebra, and you can see the transverse ridges. So you can see we have sacrum is the fusion of the 5 sacral bones. So we have 4 ridges. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the 4 transverse ridges, and you can see the foramen. This is in the anterior portion. So we can say this is the anterior sacral foramina, and also we have the apex. This is present between the sacral and coccygeal bone. So coccygeal bone is the fusion of the 4 bones. And the coccygeal bone, it does not bear any weight, but when we sit, it may bear the small portion of weight. And also when I show it in the lateral position, this is the auricular surface, this one and this. Coming to its posterior position, here we have the medial crest and the lateral crest, and the foramina is in the posterior, so we will say this is the posterior sacral foramina. And also we have a sacral canal, and we also have a sacral hiatus here. And this is all about the sacral bone and coccygeal bone. And sacral bone does not start its fusion or complete its fusion until the age of 20. And next I'm going to say about the sternum, which is a flattened bone in the anterior position. So this is sternum. You can see this is present in the posterior position of our body. And coming to its superior portion, you can see this is the jugular notch. This is the jugular notch, and this is the clavicular notch. 1, 2, where the clavicle will come and attach here. So this is known as the clavicular notch. And this is the manubrium, and this full portion is body, and this is a xiphoid process. So you can see between the body and manubrium, we have a sternal angle. And also these things, like you can see the curved positions, these are the clavicular, like just you can see these are the sternum notches, these all things. And also you can see here the light transparent white color, these are the costal cartilages but not the ribs, don't get confused. And next I'm going to explain about the rib. So all will get confused which is the anterior position and which is the posterior. So whenever we explain about the head, all will think this is the anterior position, but this is the posterior position, and this is the anterior position. So this will attack, this acts like a articular surface for the costal cartilages. And coming to the posterior position, this is head. This will go and attach to the facet of the thoracic vertebra, which is present at its level. And lateral to head itself, we have neck. This is neck, and we can see the ridge here like a hill. This is the tubercle. And also you can see the groove here. This in this groove, there is the, this is known as a costal groove. So there is the passage of the nerves here, and this is the shaft. So we have 12 pairs of ribs in our body. The starting 1 to 7, these are known as the vertebrosternal ribs, because these are attached to the like the costal cartilages of these ribs are attached directly to the sternum. And next 8, 9, 10, these are known as the false ribs or the vertebrochondral ribs, because these costal cartilages, these are attached to the 7th ribs. And the last, that is 11th and 12th pair, these are the floating ribs or just vertebral ribs, because these are just floating in our body. So this was all about the vertebra, ribs and sternum. So in next video we are going to explain about the skull and what are its anatomical position, topography, and what are the bones and features and functions. Thank you for the watching.